So let's go on defense.
Okay.
Let's talk about T.J. Watt and his presence on the field. And we just talked about his presence last week on the show, Mark. Like, when TJ is on the field, just him being around, being on the field, something good always happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Something bad always happened to the opposing team. But now you're thinking, okay, who's going to step up in the secondary because Minka isn't there. They played well as a secondary in whole, wind up having interceptions, wind up tackling the catch. And that was, for me, that was key. Tackling the catch, not having explosive plays from the Saints offensive receivers. But, man, keeping Alvin Kamara in check, I mean, come on, we got to give it up to the linebacker crew. Because if you just think about the New Orleans Saints, the first person you think about on offense is who the hell is going to stop Alvin Kamara? And for that linebacker crew, for that defense, to keep him in check, because it's hard to stop Alvin Kamara, but to keep him in check, they gave themselves a chance by doing that.
I'm very familiar with Alvin Kamara, Ike, from my time in Knoxville when he was playing at the University of Tennessee, a very special player, even coming into the league, Ike. And all of these years later, he's as good as there is in this league with the ball in space. He had a season-low 45 yards of offense on the ground. They only gave him 8 carries as well, which was also a season low. But when you're trailing in this game, you have limited opportunities to where, hey, we can just snap the ball and turn the ball and hand the ball off to him. Eight rushes, only 26 yards. He had 3 catches for 19 yards. So they did a great job of bottling up Kamara. And he wasn't the only one. Chris Olave, the rookie receiver, the star rookie receiver out of Ohio State, 3 catches for 40 yards. Taysom Hill averaged less than a yard per carry, Ike. So the defensive adjustments in the second half, I thought, were very telling because the Saints were held scoreless in the second half of Sunday's game. And going into halftime, I was a tad concerned because Andy Dalton consistently found the tight end, I Bleav is Juwan Johnson, and I saw he was targeting Robert Spillane a little bit in coverage. Now, I know it wasn't always man coverage. They were playing some cover 2 as well, Ike. But I was a little bit concerned. But then coming out of halftime, listen, if you only give up 10 points in a game, but you hold a team scoreless at halftime, you should go on and win. And that's what the Steelers did, but they were able to play complementary football, Ike. And you're mentioning the DBs. To me, the sequence that really clinched the game on Sunday was DeMonte Kazee's interception. He's filling in for Minkah Fitzpatrick. It bounces off Jarvis Landry's hands into Kazee's hands, sets up the Steelers score to go up 2 possessions. And then Levi Wallace's subsequent interception to get the ball back to the Steelers, and the offense is able to put it away. It's amazing what complementary football can do, and it's amazing what you can do when you turn the ball over to give your offense more favorable field position, and the Steelers did just that.
Yeah, Coach T just real comfortable on seeing Andy Dalton. When Andy Dalton was with the Cincinnati Bengals, he knew the plays, he knew the throws that Andy Dalton used to like to throw, and that was to his tight end Eifert at the time when he was with the Cincinnati Bengals. And he knew the throws Andy Dalton wasn't comfortable on throwing. So, making them halftime adjustments, you're going into a game, you're like, okay, 1, we got to stop Alvin Kamara. 2, we got to stop Chris Olave. And if he wants to beat us with his tight end, we just going to have to lose the game that way. You're not able to stop everything. So, for me, that was a game plan for the defense. Alvin Kamara first, Chris Olave second. And if Jarvis Landry beat us or tight ends beat us, okay, cool. I'd take that L all day. But they found the way. They made this halftime adjustments. And like you said, to be able to hold an NFL team to nothing in the second half says a lot.
Now, TJ Watt's presence, Ike, we can't underscore the importance of this because you look at the stat sheet and you say, okay, 4 tackles. It wasn't anything crazy on the stat sheet, but it freed up other guys. And I'm talking about Alex Highsmith because Highsmith then gets one-on-ones. Highsmith finishes with 2 sacks, a forced fumble, a quarterback hit, and a tackle for loss. 5 overall tackles combined as well. Watt only had 4, but it was his presence on the field involved in the very first 2 plays from scrimmage for the Saints offense and the energy that he brought to the stadium too. I know he got a really, really nice ovation at Acrisure Stadium playing for the first time since week 1 against the Bengals. It's his presence, Ike, and it makes everyone's job on that defense easier. And I think about it from this standpoint of like, if another team would have lost their best player, so I'm talking about if the Chiefs lost Patrick Mahomes or if the Buffalo Bills lost Josh Allen, the expectations would be a little bit different. And so we forget about that. TJ Watt happens to be that guy defensively for the Steelers, which is why they came into this game with a 2-6 record. You take away the best player from any team in the NFL, and I think that lowers the ceiling of the expectations for that said team. It was great to see him back out there on the field, Ike, and I forgot how much I missed him wreaking havoc off the edge.
Well, let's not get it twisted, Mark. Like, the defense been putting their offense in good situations. The offense just haven't been scoring enough points. And if you keep a defense, and I don't care how good the defense is, just look at the Denver Broncos, they got a good defense. Just look at the Buffalo Bills, they got a good defense. If you keep your defense on the field for a long time, eventually plays are going to happen for the offensive side. Eventually, these offensive coordinators are going to find formations or mismatches that they look for, and they're going to go to them often. So for the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though the score wasn't high, but for them to control the ball and control the clock, and for them to watch the Saints offense have to sit and watch their defense try to stop the Pittsburgh Steelers rushing game, that's playing defense just as well. You're just on the offensive side, if you can think about it. So the Pittsburgh Steelers offense did a great job of playing defense by controlling the clock and letting the defense create turnovers on the opposite side.
Dominated time of possession. Steelers had the ball for nearly 39 minutes in this game. Saints had it for a little bit more than 21 minutes. And I mentioned the presence of Watt. I think Alex Highsmith has developed into a Pro Bowl player. I predicted it before the season that he would make the Pro Bowl, but I think he's developed to where when Watt was out, he realizes, okay, I'm not going to get a one-on-one every single time, but then Watt's back in there. Guess who gets to eat? And it was Alex Highsmith yesterday.
I got action. I mean, Alex led the league for a couple of weeks in sacks. TJ was out. TJ come back in. Alex back to the 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 5 tackles total. That's the benefit of having TJ Watt and making the most out of your opportunities, because a lot of guys don't know.
Yeah.
Please don't get this twisted. Alex Highsmith is probably the left tackle is probably your best offensive lineman. Your best offensive lineman, other than the center. So for Alex Highsmith to win one-on-ones against opposing teams, supposedly best offensive line, which is your left tackle, says a lot, and it says his maturity and how he's grown and developed into being the outside linebacker that he is right now.
Got to put this out there, Ike, for any Saints fans that are going to watch this show. Saints left tackle, the starter left the game with an injury, did not return. And then the Saints were also starting a new left guard going into Sunday's game as well. Nonetheless, you got to play with who you got, Ike. And the Saints could only muster 186 yards of offense, which in 2022, that is excellent, excellent defense. And Ike, Sunday's game overall as a team was the Steelers' best performance by far this season. I'm talking the entire team, not just, defense, offense, what have you.
Man, I keep telling y'all, man, Coach T always have something up his sleeve. Like just how we be talking about Tom Brady. I said Tom Brady, he wakes up around this time, November, December. And Coach T do the same thing. Every time it looks real slim, every time you won't pull that lifeline from under the Pittsburgh Steelers, Coach T rally his troops and they find ways week after week after week.